So, Belarusian flag and my bags, my luggage here. Lugging through the centre of Minsk is a glamorous life, and I've been here for a few days now, coming to a place as myself, a completely independent journalist. It is all on me to do. You can't just charge into places, you have to arrange the relevant accreditation, inquire about access to places and all that kind of thing. There is a protocol, there is well, some administrative behind the scenes work to do, which is underway, all on me, with me. I know if you're watching this, you all are. We're in this together. There we go, a little check in the bags. Although to be honest, I absolutely feel fine here in Belarus. Such a friendly place, such a warm, welcoming. We can see a lovely spring day, and you know, if this were another way, another situation, I'd be so happy just to be here as a tourist, to have the chance to see more of walking the dog there, just to see more of beautiful Belarus. So it's not, as we know, that kind of situation where you can allow these things. So obviously we're on to the next destination, and you know, we all know there are things that I would like to cover and show you, and as I say in Russian, so we're definitely going to crack on and give it a go, doing as much as we can. But there's also just a few things to say. In recent days it has been good to see from the Western media, we might almost say refreshing, a realisation, an admission from them of the role of Belarus in this. Now, where would we even begin to start to the Herculean task of starting to take apart, of starting to address the masses and masses of Western fakes that have come out in this still less than 2 weeks of war? I mean, Ghost of Kiev, Snake Island, and on and on. However, one thing that was being spun in the early days was that Belarus was an aggressor in this, a participant in the Ukraine war. In recent days, we've actually seen, refreshingly, a realisation, as I say, that the role of Belarus in this is a peacemaker. Now, Minsk is a marvellous city. It doesn't deserve to be tarred with the failures of the attempt at peace protocol. It gave its name to the Minsk Protocol, which began in September of 2014 and kind of limped on to February, until February of this year, without ever showing any real result. But that's not Belarus's fault, it's not Minsk's fault. They gave it a go, and the position of Belarus, and I have confirmed this with several well-placed sources, has always been to provide a forum and a format for peace talks, and actually 3 rounds have already taken place in this recent situation since February the 24th. The most recent ones did take place without one of the earlier Ukrainian negotiators, who was shot in the head in Kiev. Now, the reason the Minsk Protocol never worked all those years was, as we've previously discussed, all of those neo-Nazis, the Azov, Aidar, Pravi Sector, etc. battalions, who simply refused to stop shelling the civilians of Donbass. Nazism, of course, fascism, it takes many forms, and I mean, interesting to note over the past few days, I mean, this attempt to outright cancel Russia. I even read an article in the New York Times indignant that places which serve food were still serving Russians. I mean, that food establishments were still serving food and beverages. I mean, just staggering. I don't know if you call that fascism or Nazism, or perhaps Strastia. Praznikum. She's a bit curious what I'm saying. In Belarus. I don't know what you call that though. If you call that fascism or Nazism, but it is certainly sadism. People are walking past, and when they hear English they get quite curious, probably expecting only the worst. But Belarus is a friendly and tolerant place, so I don't want to cause a scene or anyone thinking that it's a provocation, because I mean, actually the opposite. As I say, so what I was saying was that Belarus, despite being a peacemaker in all of this, has not been exempt from this Western desire to just cancel, obliterate everything connected with Russia. When I booked in to stay in a hostel a few days ago here in Minsk, it was with the site Hostel World. This is not an advert, it is an anti-advert. I checked a couple of days later, they have deleted Belarus, they have cancelled Belarus. You cannot book anywhere, and that extends to, I think, Airbnb, booking, just like Belarus has been obliterated from the map of being able to book. And for what? For them offering peace talks, peace forums. I mean, okay, Russian military forces and Belarusian military forces were conducting a joint military exercise by the Belarusian and Ukrainian border when events began, and of course from Belarus Russian troops did enter Ukraine, but it takes two. War in this case. They entered because Ukrainian border guards let them, because Ukrainian border guards abandoned their positions and surrendered.
Вот едут, нахуй, уже столько машин, блин, здесь. Украина бросила пост, таможня, они убежали все.
Which brings us to one of the most discussed themes of the moment, the humanitarian corridors in Ukraine. And if you're expecting to see the truth about that in the BBC or read it in the Guardian, Mail, etc., then well, good luck to you. But here I've put together some real reports reflecting the reality, the truth of what is happening, what is going on with the humanitarian corridors in Ukraine.
Ну, говорят, я же не знаю, что они хотят от этих мирных людей. Мирные люди там, они не выпускают, вот в село, они с села. Они зажали их там, наверное. Что они с ними там делают, не знаю я, не знаю. Очень обидно,
что вы могли бы вы сказать тем, кто держит там людей, вот азовцам, которые там в Мариуполе находятся?
А что им сказать? Если они люди, если они не люди, они должны воевать. Воюют военные. Военные воюют. А гражданские, как это зайти в дом, из дома с гражданского стрелять? Спасаться, ну как это спасать, уже наладьте уже это, сделайте. Во-первых, отпустите людей, которых вы держите. Почему вы держите людей? Что вы из этих людей будете иметь? Вы их выставите перед собой, чтобы их стреляли в их? Для чего вы их держите?
Ну это для них как защита своего рода.
Никогда не думала, что Украина будет бить свой народ на уничтожение. Это страшно. Тот кошмар, который мы пережили последние трое суток. Видели, что они делали. Это не передать никому. Они просто хотели стереть село с лица земли. Так, и тем более мирные жители погибли. Среди нас был мужчина. Он вышел в туалет и погиб, как раз возле подвала. Под обстрелами его в подвал затащили. В подвале он умер. Сутки мы в подвале жили, жили. Были вместе с покойником. Это кошмар. Я не знаю, это самый настоящий геноцид был.
Скинули информацию, что вы гуманитарный, пробуйте, говорит, пробивайтесь. Ну, с острахом и риском, с 2 детьми.
И как? Скажите, когда ехали? Как?
Страшно.
А военнослужащие пропускали нормально?
Ну, у меня муж, он россиянин, с трудом. Сказали, задержали, смотрели долго, допрашивали долго. Увидели документы русские сразу все, стойте, категорически. Так. Ну, пропустили, да, мы ехали, конечно, с трудом. Переживали, чтобы, как говорят, свои же в спину не ударили. Это самое страшное.
В целом там как обстановка?
Thank you for joining me for this video report in which we've seen the truth about Belarus and about the humanitarian corridors. And in fact, there are so many videos I could show you on that theme connected to what is really going on with the humanitarian corridors, and that is nothing that you will ever see on the BBC. The DNR have further accused Ukraine of opening fire on humanitarian corridors, killing civilians. But as I say, none of that you'll ever hear, in fact, from any Western media. So stay with me as I'll be heading next down to the south of Belarus by the border with Ukraine to see what's going on there, what's the status of the humanitarian corridors and how far we can go.